Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode, of course, of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Folks, we have an outstanding show for you today. It's going to be a smaller show than normal simply because, well, a lot of people are not here. And we're lucky to even have Fuzzy Belvedere, who is still without power. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe that he's here. He's been out without power since Tuesday. He's on his phone, and we're probably going to spend, maybe 60, 70 minutes just kind of getting through the craziness of gaming. You got the FTC trying to still win this argument of Xbox is bad, FTC is good, which I find to be foolhardy. Even the complaint is a bit ridiculous when you look at it. And again, I cannot believe we're still here. But, speaking with Kay Asante, who actually might be joining us a little bit later, until the actual circuit court judges make their decision, they leave the door open for Lena Khan to continually make these foolhardy-esque complaints. And yes, of course, no one likes price hikes, but Microsoft raising the price of Xbox Game Pass, they're not the only ones, for sure. I know we've seen it. Obviously, if you have Netflix, if you have Disney Plus or any of the services, they've all gone up. And again, I don't advocate for price increases because I'm a consumer like you, but I think that this particular thing, when the EU and everyone else has passed it, it does seem pretty ridiculous. And again, if you read the complaint is out there. Obviously Tom Warren posted it. Florian Mueller actually made a comment. Post Up also commented on it. And I think it's widely believed that this is just one of those shot in the dark situations. If you're an Xbox fan, there's no need to worry. They're not going to lose ABK because Lena Khan has a bit of a thing for big tech. It's just not going to happen. The deal's done. They haven't done anything. I mean, they even talked about layoffs, which, again, layoffs on any scale, ladies and gentlemen, is terrible. Let's make that perfectly clear. But if we're being fair, yes, Microsoft did lay off quite a few people after the initial closing of the deal. But again, from how I understood it and how it was presented to me, these layoffs were already happening under Bobby K, not Microsoft. They just happened to be the owner when it happened. And again, it's just ridiculous. But listen, Fuzzy, I don't know how much longer we have you. We want to get you in here and get your voice heard. How are you feeling, brother?
Other than frustrated with Pico for not having the power back on in what amounts to about 3 days now. But other than that, doing pretty good. Haven't been gaming as much, obviously, because power outage. But finding convenient things to do to stay cool in this heat, going to the mall, going to the movies, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But outside of that, been off and on Twitter, just kind of save battery on phone. Saw some of these stories when they popped up, and I got some thoughts on some things. But man, glad to be here with you, Boom. Glad that we have everybody in the chat. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to interact as much, only because I'm just on my phone and not on my desktop. But man, we're going to have a good show today.
Well, again, I appreciate you being here. Korkenstein, unfortunately, got stuck doing a double, so he is not going to be here. Crispy Bomb unfortunately got stuck working as well. So again, it's one of those days, folks, that, well, as they say, shit happens. Pardon the French. And it works out well because we weren't doing more than a 90-minute show. After this, I'm heading out to go hang out with my nephew Tyler. We're going to go get some ice cream. It's, again, today's a great day for it, too, because it's only 80-something, and we had 4 days of near 100-degree weather here in New York, and it sucked. So we're going to go out. We're going to go to GameStop, see what, and maybe do a little, like video game shopping for him. I know he's listening, Tyler. I know you're listening there, brother, and I'll see you soon. But listen, let's jump right into it. So the FTC is back. I pulled a story here from Yahoo Finance. And again, this story broke yesterday. Tom Warren put a big post out on it. I didn't see much coverage of it because, again, I just think it's ridiculous. But of course, I have to give credit where credit is due. I did pull this from Yahoo Finance, finance.com. Morella Moon wrote this, posted it this morning at 8 a.m. Basically, it says the FTC is mad about the Xbox Game Pass price increase, as you are. The agency is an example of how Microsoft Activision merger can, the agency says it's an example of how Xbox and Activision merger can harm consumers. Now, look,
Mm-hmm.
Fuzzy, I don't want to spend too much time on this. We've talked this to death. But again, let's just read the first paragraph from the article, because of course we are using the article from Yahoo Finance.
Mm-hmm.
It says Microsoft has made changes to its Xbox Game Pass service that are exactly the sort of consumer harm from its Activision acquisition that the Federal Trade Commission FTC was worried about. The agency wrote in a letter addressed to the U.S. Appeals Court that the FTC's letter focuses on a recent price hike for Xbox Game Pass, and pointed out that under the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate banner, it now costs $20 a month, which is $3 more per month than before, and represents a 17% year-over-year increase. In addition, Fuzzy, the agency called attention to Microsoft's decision to discontinue the $11 console Game Pass plan. The agency added a new Game Pass standard tier, but it costs more at $15 a month. While it's a step up from the bare bones core plan, it doesn't include access to day one releases, leading the FTC to call it a degraded product.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft will fully discontinue the console tier just before the launch of the next Call of Duty game, the FTC said. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 will be playable via Game Pass for its release date on October 25th, which means subscribers who want access to it on day one will have to pay $20 a month. What it fails to actually say in here is that there is another way through PC,
Mm-hmm.
which is $12, which is, I think it's $11.99 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, look, yes, there's a price increase.
Mm-hmm.
Is it egregious? I guess you can say that any price increase is egregious. To suggest, though, that this is some sort of again, this goes back to my whole video that I did about the demonizing of Game Pass through the community. Well, now the government's involved, and obviously everyone around the world has approved this deal. It got passed here in the United States. It's up. They're trying to appeal it. I really don't think they have a chance. They didn't have a chance before. I don't think that the price increase that comes the way of $3 and a changing of the tier. Now, granted, I'll be the first one to tell you, Fuzzy, I will stand on this soapbox. I know Microsoft listens to it. I have such a tiny voice. They don't give a shit what I say. But the biggest mistake that they made is not changing or raising the price of the console tier. It's removing day and date and not having any context as to when that content will be available.
Right.
What it should have been is there should have been a happy medium. You should have added a multiplayer. You could have raised it to $12.99 or $13.99, not getting to that $15 price point, and keeping day and date in there. That's what they should have did. They should have been day and date across all tiers of Game Pass, and that's the way it should. So if there is a mistake to be made, that is where it is. But again, we don't have context. What are that curated 500 games that are in the console tier? How long before a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 that releases on October 26th gets into this tier? We don't know that. So that is where I can see the FTC having a bit of a problem. Let's get your hot take.
Well, my hot take, it might be a little bit different, but it was kind of like a rope-a-dope that the FTC kind of led Microsoft down, and they didn't really push back during the hearings. Like, I knew that this was going to be a sticking point, especially when we recently had that price increase. It's one of those inevitable things that they probably should have pushed back a little bit more during the hearing, but they basically walked into a trap that the FTC set up for them. They should have made it where, well, a price increase would only be in conjunction with, like, let's say inflation or the cost of
The market. Yeah.
operations and stuff like that. And they didn't push back on that during it. So this does open the case or open the door up for the FTC. I think they have a actually real strong footing in this. It's not that they can break up the deal, but what this would possibly do is either cause Microsoft to settle and do something along the lines of like, hey, give everybody that was a current subscriber of console an extra 6 months or something to that effect. So I do see us as the gamers or consumers getting something out of this. What Microsoft should have done, at least in the short term, is not do any price changes the entire time until
the
one
deal was
full year.
actually done. Yes.
Right. And until the deal was done, but I would say even give it one full year after Call of Duty was in the service. Like that should have been when everything should be restructured, because at least they can go back to the FTC and say, well, hey, we had to restructure because of A, B, and C. And that's where I feel that they kind of messed up. But then the drawback is this case took so long for them to be able to close the deal that a lot of the things that they probably would have had in place, probably that time window ran out, and that's why they had to do the changes that they did. But I do think the FTC has a footing, but it would be at most, and this could be in our favor. We might all get like an extra 3 to 6 months of free Game Pass for a period of time. Like if you were a subscriber from January of 2023 to January of 2024, here's an extra 3 months, or here's an extra 6 months. So I see something like that happening. What I would have hoped that they would have done is that rumored ad laden version should have been at least something that they had where it's either a free one and you have like all of their older titles, like kind of like the way Core is, and it's either free or it's like $2.99 or whatever the case is, because then at least you could say, well, yeah, we raised it on the upper tiers, but we do have this much lower tier that allows people to get in a lot cheaper than what we were even offering before. I don't know exactly how you do the ads, like whether it's a matter of before you load up every game, you see an ad for one of their first party titles or something to that effect, or a controller, or maybe like kind of the way some of these phone games work where you see like a little ad pop up for 60 seconds while it's doing a loading screen type of thing. But they have a footing. I mean, I look at it this way. If the FTC is going to do this for this case, I would love for them to do this for other things. I mean, especially considering I have a power outage and it's been out for a while and they've stopped work like 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah. Where's the FTC when I need them for going after these power companies when they decide that, because from what I'm hearing, they're waiting on people coming from Alabama to help them, as opposed to going to neighboring states like New Jersey or New York or Maryland to get assistance from maybe other power companies that they kind of compete with, but they all have their own regions. So they're not in direct competition, but one of those neighboring state electric companies that may not have had the same storm and not have the same, emergency to get powered restored, maybe they could come up. No, they're reaching out to Alabama, which is like a 14-hour drive if you're speeding type of thing. So it's like, where's the FTC for that stuff? Where's the FTC on any price increase on any of these subscription services, whether it's like you mentioned earlier, Disney or Netflix, which is going to have another one as well. It's a random, well, I wouldn't say it's random. It just seems convenient that they pick and choose certain ones. And it's almost to the point where it's like, well, if that lobbying group doesn't, I guess the people that put the FTC or appoint the head people there isn't on or in the pocket of some lobbying group, those are, they turn the other cheek type of thing. But I don't know. I think this will result in some sort of settlement. I don't think this breaks up the deal in any way. The Ninth Circuit Court will probably say that the price increase, they may even look at it and say, hey, because of inflation, the cost of eggs, the cost of living, everything that's around the world, this is within exception, because if it's a 17% year over year, but since the deal was originally listed and inflation is probably matched that, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 16% inflation over 2020 to now type of thing.
Right.
This might fall in line and they might just say, oh, they might even, the Ninth Circuit Court might say it's a nothing burger. But I do think Microsoft, in the effort of maybe saving face and to get this out of their hair kind of thing, say, you know what? We'll just give everybody that was subscribed during this time an extra 3 months, an extra 6 months, or something to that effect. And everybody will be happy. I mean, Lena Khan might not be happy. One, she might be out of a job here soon, and two, she hasn't defeated the mighty Microsoft. But it's time for her to move on to more pertinent things, at least for the rest of her time as the head of FTC. But maybe we get something out of it, and if we do, great. If we don't, oh well. I'm fine with Game Pass until almost 2028 anyway. So
yeah, me too.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, again, the one thing I want this to be clear is you don't want to see a world where Call of Duty is not in Game Pass, right? You don't want to see a world where Diablo 4 is not in Xbox Game Pass. It is. Now, the big question is, why hasn't everything been dumped in there? Well, it's probably because of this case that's open. That's more than likely what it is. Again, it's the grasping at straws situation for the FTC. And I think what's a bit frustrating when you look at it is exactly what Fuzzy mentioned. From a non-gamer, real life, adulting point of view, the FTC doesn't go after companies that raise their price. Look, I'll give you some personal information. Mrs. Boom and I, we have an apartment, right? It's 700 a pinch under 800 square feet. It's not small, but it's not big either, right? Our Con Ed bill here for a month in the summer used to run us around, I don't know, like $200, right? This month alone is nearly $500.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm retired. I'm home. We got one AC going because, of course, I don't want to sweat to death while I'm doing the shows. But nearly $500 for 1 month is lunacy, folks. But there's no one pushing back on the power companies. There's no one pushing back on the phone companies. There's no one pushing back on the cable companies. Everything continues to go up, and it's like, yeah, sure, it's no problem. And again, this is where I get into the apples and oranges comparison. Last year in September, let's remember, folks, go all the way back to September 2023. PlayStation raised the price of PlayStation Plus Premium by 35%, $40. It went up from $120 to $160, and does not include first-party day and date. As a matter of fact, they have pulled first-party games out of the service, like Spider-Man, when Spider-Man 2 came out, to get you to buy the triple pack. And again, it's just, oh, sure, it's fine. It's Sony. And again, if we're going by market leader numbers, Xbox is still number 3. So I think that there is a nothing burger. Like I said, go seek out some of the people that are talking about it, that know like really in-depth behind the scenes stuff, like Post Up or Florian Muller, who actually both of them posted on it. I don't think this is going anywhere. I don't think Lena Khan is going to be in charge of the FTC. And obviously the lead prosecutor recused himself. I think it was last month, and there's a reason for it, because this is not a winning case. This is just wasting taxpayer money.
Pretty much.
But yeah, listen, you know what? Let's keep let's keep the train rolling. And Fuzzy, let's talk about Halo for a second. Now, obviously, anytime for some reason you talk about Halo, your numbers tank. People unsubscribe to you. It's just it's the curse of Halo, and I love it. As you can see, I'm playing it all the time, and I'm never going to apologize for wanting more, or my single player story driven Master Chief story. But this year yesterday we have confirmation that season 3 of the Halo TV series has been canceled by Paramount. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is definitely a yay for me, because even though the last episode was legendary, even though season 2 was extraordinarily better than season 1, he was still fighting on Reach with no helmet and no armor. It's change needs to happen. So obviously, what we did learn, and I actually learned this from Jeff Keighley because he tweeted about it. And again, it's not surprising because it is negative news. And well, Jeff is the first to report on that. So Jeff Keighley actually reported that the showrunners are now shopping it to other channels, meaning that it could go to Netflix, could pick it up. It could go to HBO. It could go to a host, but ultimately, I think it's safe to say, and this is everyone is thinking it. I'm going to do a Professor X and read your minds, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody that's anybody wants Amazon to pick this up based on the production value that went into the Fallout series, which was nominated, PS, by the way, for 16 Emmys, which is ridiculously good. Obviously, there's a reason why it was watched by over 80 million people, and continues to be a big draw for Amazon Prime members who want to watch something new. I think it's a no-brainer. I think Amazon should be approached if they haven't already. I don't know the particulars, Fuzzy, behind the scenes regarding why it was canceled. I would imagine that maybe the people on the Xbox side and the Microsoft side that have ownership of Halo weren't happy with the two renditions that they had. And I think, like I said, all you got to do is look at the success of Fallout. Not only did the series itself sell a ton of old games, because obviously 4 and 3 sold like hotcakes. In fact, they were like the number one selling game in the UK, which is bonkers for a game that's super old. But everybody wanted to play the game. Well, they produced an amazing version and, again, a rendition of Fallout. I think that if given the keys to the automobile, if you will, Fuzzy, and I use that term very loosely because you're an automobile kind of a gamer. This would be a big step up for them, and I would imagine they would continue from season ending 2 into season 3, but tell it in the way that, well, gamers want the story to be told. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. It was one of those things when I first saw the story pop up as far as like the Halo series being canceled, and then Keighley making mention that it is being shopped around. I'm like, please, Amazon, please let it be Amazon that picks it up, because I think that would be the best fan service considering how how Fallout was handled. I think if they have a similar respect of the lore, let's say, I think you can have another big mega hit as far as not just from a viewership standpoint, but also that transmedia aspect where people are buying and playing the older versions of the game and anxiously looking forward to the next iteration in the series, whether it's certain affinities, possible like battle royale that they've been working on, or if it's whatever the next gen Halo might be. Hopefully between now and 2026 timeframe. I think that would be their best course of action. And the close second would be Netflix, because Microsoft has a good relationship with Netflix in general because they're the ones handling their advertising and stuff after the Google contract expired. But either one of those two big streaming platforms would probably be best. But I think part of the cancellation probably comes down to Paramount doing the partnership with Skydance. That's going to be one of those things where they got to figure out, now that they've acquired or merged, or however you want to look at it, they got to figure out what's making money, what's not making money, where do they have the most potential. And Skydance is also in the video game business as well, because they're the ones, I believe, that's behind the Captain America and Black Panther game, as well as they have another game, I think, in the works. I can't remember the name of it now, but they do movies, they do video game related things. So they're probably looking at what their portfolio has at the immediate to offer as far as what will be the best bang for buck. And Halo may not fit that model just yet for them. or maybe they're not getting enough of a cut in comparison. Like if Microsoft being the owner of the IP is probably taking a nice chunk, and they would probably rather deal with something that either they have more control on or that might have a little bit better margins for them. But yeah, if Amazon picks it up, I think that's the best action all around, just for the fact that Amazon, unlike a lot of other these streaming services, I won't say that they have the unlimited budget, but they have like a Microsoft level budget, and they put that into stuff that they have a feeling that will return on that investment. And Fallout was a clear sign of that. And I'm pretty sure they're already in. They've probably been in meetings with Microsoft on other IPs that they may have that they can do the same thing. I'm not saying that they have to do a rinse and repeat, but they're probably looking at it. Well, what about the Halo or Gears of War franchise? Because I think Netflix might have the Gears of War one if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it makes sense for Amazon or Netflix to pick up Halo, continue from the uptick that they had with season 2 into season 3. Respect the lore a little bit more, because then you'll have the diehard fans as well as more in tune with it, as opposed to being like, well, wait a minute, that's not the Master Chief I've grown up to know, type of thing, where he's running around naked or without a helmet kind of thing. But we'll see how it pans out, considering that Microsoft now kind of has a blueprint on how to turn these things into successful streaming shows or possibly into movies or things other than games that can benefit. Halo needs at this point. There's still a ton of people that are on Xbox and PC that play, but if you can get more of those people, or people that might be, joining the future, Game Pass mobile or the, the Fire Stick streaming crowd into it, the better. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, the 1-to-1 would be a big deal. Obviously, if Amazon did pick it up, they do have the partnership regarding the Amazon streaming stick, the Fire TV, which they have already announced. And one hand washes the other. Both hands wash the face. And that would be a big deal. First of all, let's welcome in Kay Asante. Kay, what's going on, brother? You are here today unusually because, due to a big kind of a glitch from specifically Xbox, for Microsoft, you can't work from home. So here you are. How you feeling, brother?
Oh, no. I'm here to pour one out for Master Cheeks. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to pour one out.
Excellent. I love it.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
Good morning. Listen, let's get into it, because obviously Master Cheeks is something that a lot of people did not like about it. Listen, I understand the direction that for TV you want to humanize Master Chief, right? I get it that it's a different way of conversation versus what you're trying to show in a video game and TV. But if there's one thing that we learned from Amazon's production team and how they handled Fallout, they can tell an engaging story with new characters, with a world that respects the lore, respects what happened in the past of the game, and tell a new story that's interesting. Bring new characters to the conversation. Again, this is just speculation, folks. We have no idea if Amazon is going to pick up Halo, but if I'm 343, or I'm specifically Phil Spencer and team that really have a say-so of what they're going to do with their transmedia IPs, that would be my first choice. And again, we don't know if they've spoken to them already, because the news just broke yesterday. But let's get your hot take on what should be the next direction for Halo as a TV series.
I'll be honest. So just so we're clear on where I'm coming from. I tend to approach media the way they want me to approach it, which is I try not to bring my own my own situation to it, so I can kind of watch things the way that I can approach it the way they intended it, and because of that, I can give a lot of I can cut a lot of slack to certain things, right? So I'm one of those rare few people who didn't hate like the Prince of Persia movie, for example. It was dumb.
I actually
It was
quite
fun.
like that, believe it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right? It was dumb.
It
was fun. Absolutely, right? Most stories I can my brain can kind of put it in Elseworlds territory, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to adhere to stringent timelines and all of this for me to enjoy it. You know, the more it does, the better it is. The more you respect the source material, the more I appreciate it, because I am a fan of the source material, no doubt. But I can take myself out of it and be like, hey, what they were trying to do here, they either were successful or they weren't, and I can adjudicate it that way. I thought the first season was it was all right. I didn't like turn it off in anger, right? They made a lot of mistakes in my humble opinion, but I watched it and I was like, okay, hopefully they do better. I thought by the end of season 2, I was in there. I was so in there. Finally, they gave me exactly what like the gamer in me, the lover of 117, John 117 in me was like, okay, you guys are redeeming yourself in my eyes, right? And as soon as they got there, they were like, yep, we're done. We're done here. You know what I mean? And now they're not renewing, at least not at Paramount, right? I really hope that much like how Amazon and even Netflix have rehabilitated and brought back a few of our favorite shows, and I've had a few of those. I was a huge Expanse fan, and the Expanse left what do you call it? I think they left Amazon, and then they were picked up by Netflix or one of those. Please forgive me in the chat if I'm mistaken, but they were dropped by one channel and picked up by another in order to finish out their season and finish everything up. Like I love when that stuff happens, and especially now that, like you said, with Amazon having putting such fire to putting such fire to Fallout, and we've already seen how prolific Netflix can be. You know, like the thing that most people don't understand is Halo was the first, and because it was the first, it's gotten beaten up for it, right?
Yeah.
Like when Halo was first pitched as a movie and or TV show, the Last of Us didn't exist as a franchise. Think about that. When it was first pitched, oh yeah, this Spielberg is going to do it. There was no Last of Us. There was none of that stuff. None of this transmedia world that we live in that now is permeating and doing good work. None of them existed. And because of that, right, Hollywood would look at this franchise and look at this stuff as, oh yeah, you have a game, people like it, that's cute. Now put the source material at the front door, and then we'll bring in our people and we'll do it the way it's supposed to be done, which we've seen that. That's where we got your Assassin's Creed movies. That's where we got all those materials that eventually did not get to where we needed them to get to. And Halo was a victim of that. Doesn't matter how powerful Microsoft was, it was director after director after writer after writer, all skewering the script and beating it up. It was a movie, now it's a TV show, now it's this, now it's that. Lucky for us, right? All these other franchises have come in place now that have been able to be successfully translated to the small screen and to the silver screen. So now when you bring a creator of a game in the room, a la Todd Howard, you know, or Druckmann, now they respect them as actual creators. Back in the day, they were jokes. Leave your IP at the door. We as Hollywood will show you how it's done. Exactly. So I'm hoping and praying that because we're in a new world now, they will actually take the source material and go, you know what, we'll give it another shot because the IP is worth more, right? Because it can actually get somewhere if you treat it with the respect it deserves. Look at the other source materials that has now proven that point. I would love to see a season 3. I would love it. It'd be amazing. And not let's retell or restart, right? Right off of season 2 to season 3. I won't spoil it because I think that the statute of limitations hasn't ended yet. Many people are like, I'm not even going to watch this thing. Skip season 1. Go straight to season 2.
Season 2 was phenomenal, and the end.
Go to season 2.
The last episode was fine.
Yeah. Season 2, the last episode is the beginning of the love for every gamer that loves Halo. Like, if nothing else, just watch the last episode of season 2, just the last one. It brought it back for me, man. It brought it, and now I'm so sad that we're not gonna get a season 3 in anytime soon, you know. But I'm hoping that the tide that is The Last of Us, the tide that is the Fallout series, you know, we have Tomb Raider potentially and all these other, those tides will lift all boats and we may see another Halo again. That would be excellent for me.
I absolutely agree. And listen, before we move on to the other topics, Jax82, welcome, brother. Nice to see you in the chat as always. Says, as long as they bring back Kay Asante as Captain Keys for season 3, I'm good, as we all will be.
Y'all, hey man, I'll take whatever I can get. I just want another episode of that show. So let's go.
There you go. Listen, if you have to step in for Captain Keys, by all means, you know what? Go ahead and do your thing, sir.
Show me the cha-ching. I can put on a good speech. Let's go.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's gonna happen. Someone's gonna pick it up because, again, why I think, you know, you ever heard the saying that that the next tide raises all boats? Well, that's what's gonna happen.
Rising
here.
tide, yeah.
The rising tide will raise all the boats, and that is ultimately what is going to happen here. Fallout. 16 Emmys, 16 Emmys, folks.
And all
you don't
deserved.
Just show up and get 16 nominations. That show was phenomenal. It was produced fantastically. Netflix, again, they're working on a Gears anime. They're working on a Gears film. I think that is going to coincide, obviously, and potentially with the release of E-Day. That's why we haven't heard anything. They're currently working on that. It's in production. Again, that's who's handling that, and they're going to do a great job with it.
Boom. I will say, as the rare fan of Horizon Forbidden West, and people call it Forbidden Sleep, I am sad to hear they're not doing a show, because I feel like that would also lend really well to the small screen as well. The recent news that they may not be doing a show. Like all these great IPs, now you have a formula to potentially take it to greatness in other mediums. I want more and more and more. Like, give me all of those shows. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you didn't know the TLDR, if you will, for the Horizon show that was canceled, it wasn't because Sony didn't believe in the product. It was the director. That they were not happy with. Apparently, he had been accused of very toxic and retaliatory behavior, to actors and actresses, and set crew and cast. And
fire that dude. Get somebody else in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that ultimately is going to happen. But look, I want to move on to the no PS5 Pro in 2024. Why is this a story? Well, Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming, and again, I have the article, folks. It was a tweet that he responded to someone regarding, hey, wait till September. Everything will be better once they announce a Pro, and he says all he basically said, ladies and gentlemen, is the PlayStation Pro coming out in 2024? I don't think it was assuming that it wasn't, but I mean, we have heard some things. Is it releasing? Is it not releasing? And then I saw it got picked up by a lot of different publications, and most of the rhetoric from even the gaming media is maybe it makes sense not to release a PlayStation 5 Pro when they don't have a game to take advantage of it. And interestingly enough, Asante, because I want to go to you first, specifically because you mentioned Horizon. Well, when Horizon Zero Dawn was released, they released the PlayStation 4 Pro around to coincide with that game that would take advantage ultimately of was it the Horizon or was it God of War?
It was. I think it was both Horizon. Which remember, Horizon came up with that. That Horizon produced that little small controversy where they initially were going to offer it $3.99 upgrade,
and then they tried to charge you for it.
They tried to charge you for it.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those situations where as it stands right now, and again, if you're a Sony guy or gal and you're happy with what they did for you as a consumer, as a customer, as a fan of the brand, by bringing you exclusives in the form of third-party deals, The Last Ronin being one of them, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is another. There's been a few titles that have come out, and Stellar Blade is another one. All of these titles, interesting in their own way, didn't garner sales like I think the companies themselves expected, and even fell short of what Sony was expecting, because I'm sure they had to pay a decently sized penny to get these games locked behind the PlayStation 5 paywall. They came out, they reviewed decently. They had relatively smaller sales than I think anyone was expecting. And I don't know if any of those games would currently take advantage of a Pro. And then for the remainder of the year, well, they do have Horizon Lego Adventures, which I am very excited for. That looks great. I love the Lego games. I can't say for you, but I own every one of them. And of course, Astrobot, which I am very excited for. It's a platformer. It's not Banjo-Kazooie, but it's Astrobot. And I do like what they do, bringing in, Astrobot-looking other characters from the history of PlayStation. They do that super well. And I would imagine those two games would potentially take advantage of it, but they don't really seem like a game that would need to take advantage of a PlayStation 5 Pro. I personally think it's not coming out this year. I just think that why? We're in a recession, folks, FYI, and this thing is going to be $600+ man. It is no way they're releasing a Pro for anything cheaper than what you can buy a PS5 for right now. Okay, what are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, that last point you made there is very apt. We're always the ones that are talking about what we want the community to hear, or how we want the community to have one voice. And one thing that has been said many times now, that it is being heard a lot to our own detriment, is that we pay for these things. Like, we hear this so much so that I'll tell you now, whenever that next gen Xbox console comes out, you paying for it. You're not getting that $400 or $500 thing you used to anymore. You're paying pretty penny for it. And why do I say that? Because there are those out there right now who are eager to buy the ROG Ally X, which is exactly the same thing it was before with a bigger battery, for $100 more. $800 people are going to pay for that device that gives you no additional power, right? And you think they're not watching this stuff? So, like, what makes it very interesting for PlayStation is they are not really in the, well, we're going to diversify our portfolio. They're dipping their toes into the PC waters. They're slowly heading in that direction. But by and large today, they are still very much in the you buy my box, you buy my games model, right? And in that world, your box is justified by the games you play. And exactly to your point, what are you going to play on it, right? What are you going to get on it? At the end of the day, it's not just a diversified portfolio. It's literally directly translated to the potential games that you play on it. And oh, by the way, those games need to justify their price point, because a side hustle, I think that GTA 6 brings about the $80 game, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, right? I am, man, I hate to admit that. Again, this is not a part of the story. Just to add some context,
Sure.
why you feel that way. There was a report the other day that in Turkey, right? Again, it's another country. Sony raised the price of their games, by $30 or $20.
And to be fair, in Turkey it was cheaper than normal because of the cost of living and all of that.
Yes.
Now
indeed.
they're like, screw cost of living. It's coming in line with everywhere else. That's what they're doing. So right?
Again, I guess what I'm. This is not a prelude to what you're referring to about an $80 GTA 6.
All I'm saying is the world of subsidization, and just so you guys understand what I mean by subsidization, the hardware you get in your hands is always far cheaper to you than the cost to make it, right? The way they market it, plus the box they put in it, plus the chips themselves, all of that. If you were to literally relate those costs one-to-one to the consumer, you're paying like $700 for a Series S, but they charge you $300 for it. So all of them tend to be loss leaders, right? Oh,
Yes.
we'll take the hit on you buying it, but then you're gonna continue to buy our game, right? And since Microsoft is not has diversified their portfolio to the point where they're no longer going to be subsidizing. I'm pretty sure of that. I don't think you're going to be seeing subsidization. And the thing that we're also seeing is they're all watching each other and they're listening to us, right? And we're like, oh, we would pay this, we would pay that. Guess what? Game Pass price increase, right? Oh, this is greatness. Guess what? They will charge you for it. The world of subsidization, the world where they're okay with taking a loss on you because you'll continue paying, that world I think is slowly but surely closing. And in that world, especially back to the point you were making, you really have to justify the reason for this thing existing, right? It can't be options because that's Xbox's play. Hey, we got a Fire Stick. Hey, we got a Series S. Hey, we got an Series X. You don't want any of that? We got your PC. Enjoy wherever there's a browser. That is not PlayStation, right? PlayStation is you buy my box, you play my games. You don't want to buy my box, you get no games. Or maybe we'll give you a PC variant a year later and it'll be the same ridiculous price and then people won't buy it. Like that is PlayStation's move today. I see them transitioning because they see the money on the table. They see Microsoft is making a bank using the way they're doing. And as such, you're seeing them change as well. But yeah, my issue is in the short term, that PlayStation 5 Pro may be almost done and sitting on the shelf waiting for games to justify it. Same thing, by the way, like the Nintendo. See, I was about to say the Switch 2. No. I'm advocating for the Super Switch. The Super Nintendo Switch. That thing is done.
Nintendo Switch. I love it.
Right? That thing is done waiting to justify either more money to the consumer to be able to buy said thing or killer games that justify its purchase, right? And until that, I mean, I would think, coming to Tom Henderson's message there, I would think that we may see it this year. We may see some kind of, hey, we're going to do something about it. You're going to get this thing, but most likely it comes out next year when they can actually put some actual content to it, right? So I expect to see maybe at the Keeleys, maybe this will be their triumphant return to the Keeleys, who knows? Maybe at TGS, who knows? But I don't think that we see it this year either, because exactly to your point, what are you going to play on it? Right? Next year, at least they have possibly GTA 6 with that $80 game. I hope not. I really hope not. But yeah, that's it.
I don't know if there is going to be a price increase to games. I can tell you right now, as a consumer who on a pension, I'm not buying games at $80. I will wait for sales. I will buy them used.
I barely buy games at $70. Screw that.
Yeah.
Like as a guy who spends a lot of times on the speeds and feeds and the technical details, you cannot justify to me why that pixel cost 60 before and now that same pixel costs 70. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's no justifying it. Not for me.
And you're correct. Listen, I want to bring in Fuzzy Belvedere. Fuzzy, before I bring you in, brother, JJ Sane 117 drops a generous $2 super chats. The first one says the FTC is still being cringe. Well, yes, they are. And second $2 super chat says, oh no, it's Alex, has a video on ponies wanting gears. Alex is awesome. I don't vibe with a lot of his stuff, especially when he starts naming names, because this world is ugly enough. But he is funny. Alex is a funny dude, and he understands his audience. So he does what he does. Listen, all you could do is laugh at what he does, and it is what it is. So Sith Lord, who's been a channel member for 27 months, great friend of all of our channels, says, "Oh my God, this computer problem is making my day hell. Thanks, Boom, K, and Fuzzy for making it a little bit better. Customer service line at O'Hare or miles long." Yeah, dude, I would imagine that. Yeah, he works at an airport, and it's just this Microsoft thing just kind of hurt a lot of people. Banks,
Technically,
airports.
I got to be the well, actually guy. Well, actually, Microsoft is a victim. They are not the perpetrator. CrowdStrike.
Yes, that is CloudStrike. Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
And this is not the first time CloudStrike has stuck it to them, so to speak. So get rid of those people. Stop using their stuff. They're not good. Hey, we got a new channel member, Robert Young. Hey, Robert. Well, good morning, kind sir, and thank you for becoming a channel member. That is incredibly kind of you, and we super appreciate it. Tim the Sorcerer, who's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for a whopping 2 years. Holy matrimony. Thank you so much, Tim. We super appreciate that. He says, hey, panel and chat, 3 weeks camping trip starting tomorrow. That's awesome. Enjoy and be safe, of course. Hope you all have great gaming moments and all of your services go up fast. Yeah, I mean, obviously, brother, thank you so much. And listen, have a great 3-week vacation in the camping. That is freaking awesome, dude. Enjoy yourself, man. Grill
Get off the grid.
Get off the grid. And hang up those cell phones, brother. But thank you so much, Tim. Super appreciate that. But let's bring you in, man. No PS5 Pro. I mean, does this kind of seem like common sense conversation?
Yeah, it does. And hopefully you guys can't hear the cicadas or the plane flying by. But it's funny. Ever since the PlayStation conference or their version of the business update with Hiroki Totoki, because of what they had made mention as far as their cost analysis on things, I said then that there's probably not going to be a PS6. Like or not PS6, a PS5 Pro. Like my thing was, if your competition has already kind of talked about their hand, and you may not know exactly what it's going to be, but Xbox has already talked about doing a next gen console, and the potential rumored date is somewhere in 2026. It would be in their best interest to probably shelve the PS5 Pro and then spin that to whatever the PS6 would be, just so that way they don't give their competition that advantage into the next gen for at least a 1 to 2 year gap between before they would be able to release their next console. So that was one of the factors that I looked at. Now, I didn't look at the software as much as being a deterrent of why not to release the PS5 Pro, because we all remember the Xbox One X didn't really have as much launch software at the time. Like Gears 4, I think, had already been out for a bit, and Forza Motorsport 7 had already been out for a month or two prior to the Xbox One X coming out. But it was all of the third parties and all of the games that had already been out and new third-party games that were coming out that ran better and showed better. So in PlayStation's stance, having like Call of Duty come out, you have a slightly more powerful console now. X is, let's say, at least whether it be on paper or hardware specs and things like that, you could now showcase competition's lead title, which is kind of a weird taboo for this point, but Call of Duty might be best played out of PC, of course, on a PS5 Pro. So they wouldn't necessarily hurt by not having their
Fuzzy, let me just. But I want to just stop right there. You're breaking up super bad, dude. Like I don't think anyone can actually even hear you. I can hear you. I tried to adjust the mic. Again, folks, he's on his phone. He doesn't have power. P.S. by the way, in his home since Tuesday, and yet he's still here. So he's obviously communicating from his phone. So it's not going to be a professional mic, but he sounds great other than the breaking up. I don't know if you want to back out and jump back in, and then we will get your hot take. Maybe reconnecting will smooth out the code.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Let me do that. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So listen, again, it's just. Look, I'll say this while we wait for Fuzzy to jump back in here, folks. The PS5 Pro, I don't actually see it being necessary. I just don't. I think it's a money grab. They do well enough, with what they're doing with the PlayStation 5 right now. I think a lot of their games, even third party, look fantastic on the console. They take really good advantage of what they do through first party. So I don't see it necessary. I think it's a half step. Again, while we wait for Fuzzy to get back in here, And any additional thoughts and theories why there shouldn't be a potential $600+ PS5 Pro?
Look, honestly, I do see why they're doing it. I see why they're doing it, because let's be honest, like they have benefited from Microsoft's and Xbox's like flat-footedness, right?
Okay,
On
fair.
paper, that hardware is far more powerful. Like they're similar in their spec, but they have been lucky, PlayStation has, because they have been the market leader. And because they are the market leader, everyone develops for them first, and then it always tends to favor them when it comes to the speeds and feeds conversation, right? But you can only go so far, right? There are some developers that are actually taking real effort to make these games shine and doing their best with it. I will point to Alan Wake 2, which runs insanely well on all platforms. And when you have no doubt that whether it be Xbox or PlayStation, they're doing their best with it, Xbox wins all the time. It just does, because finally somebody, and this is me giving Xbox and Microsoft smoke, somebody's actually using the tools they brought to bear. Somebody, even you yourselves, Microsoft, don't use all those tools because of reasons, right? And there are valid reasons, but there's still reasons, right? When a third-party developer does give you that even respect that you should be getting, now all of a sudden the PlayStation 5 it's almost at it's being pushed, it's being taxed, right? So as the games get more and more performant, as Unreal Engine 5 becomes more and more a mainstay, you're going to start seeing that the PS5 can't kind of hang a little bit, right? So I think it's an interesting idea that they inoculate themselves by pushing the generation out a little bit, by giving a little bit more overhead as far as power is concerned, right? So now your PS5 Pro will be able to run those games at far better frame rates. That, you know, you can do a lot more. In the general PS5 term, if they just left it PS5, unless they keep regurgitating the same games they have been for multiple generations now, right? Which they're probably going to do that as well. There's no reason you would not be able to see any real benefit, right? And we've had this discussion on Prime Time, right? The black hole games, and people ask me what those are. Black hole games are the terms that they use for games that literally want you to live in it. The Fortnites of the world, first Descendant now, you know,
yes,
those free-to-play games, those service games that literally just make sure that you just don't leave. Like, spend your life in this game. Minecraft, you know, Apex Legends, those games. None of those games are moving to next generation. So unless you have a real justified reason to do so, more often than not, most of the audience will continue to stay on last gen. And if you go pro, now it's like a gen and a half behind. But still, as long as those black hole games still have not chosen to put out a decent next gen variation that looks good, that makes you want to upgrade, most people will not. So in the world where, and I said it before, in the world where Microsoft has diversified their portfolio, right? And now these things become just a tool like any other tool. Hey, you want to watch your movies on Netflix? There you go. You want to buy a Blu-ray? There you go. These are options for you as a consumer. You get to choose. In that world, you'll get people to upgrade their hardware, because people like me, I want the latest, greatest, the NLB, the newest, latest, best, right? But not everybody's going to be like me, which is fine, right? But in the you buy my box and I sell you my games world that PlayStation continues to reside in, you need to justify why you're paying the top dollar, because it will be top dollar, for that upgrade. And right now, unless TGS or some other event comes about, and we just see, you know, ridiculous amounts of games and awesome things, and it's just amazing and wild, I don't see them justifying it. Now, if they do that though, right? If all of a sudden they come out and they go, oh, we have a marketing deal with Take-Two, and now we have exclusive this, exclusive that for GTA 6. We have this game, that game, all these amazing games that you consumer want from us. We have it for you, a la E3 of Dreams 2.0. Then you can justify the purchase of that hardware, because your business model has always been, you buy my box, I sell you my games, right? The others don't necessarily have that problem. It's a unique problem to PlayStation. Fuzzy, let's see if we can hear you now, sir. If you're speaking on mute, there you go.
I'm a little bit clearer now. Yeah.
It's a little worse, brother. It's a little worse.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know what? Don't even sweat it. Try one more time, and if not, because I know Kay's got to get out of here, we'll call it square. Again, this was not expected to be a long show because obviously there's a lot going on in the world. We got an hour under our belt. We got to 3 topics. Obviously, the first Descendant did cross 10 million players. That's a really big deal, and I'm one of them. I have 4 characters at level 40. I have 3 characters at level 30. I have 2 characters that are still at level 1, but I haven't played with those yet. I'm absolutely adoring the game. But Fuzzy, let's give it one last college effort. Now, Kay, you said you got to bounce, brother. So listen, thank you. Talk about the Gaming Circle podcast before you're gonna get on out of here while we wait for Fuzzy to jump back in. What's happening this Saturday?
So myself and Everborn, as we do, we'll be back with more gaming goodness, gaming conversations on a Saturday morning. We call ourselves Saturday Morning Cartoons. Yes, we are the olds who remember those days. So yes, we'll be here with that for you. I will ask you to go check out the gamingcircle.com, a nice little blog that we're working on. We're adding more content all the time. I will also ask you to check my channel because I did a little review of the Fire Stick, which I thought like people really liked, and showed you the pluses and minuses of that. And then I was like, you know what, we can do one better. So I did another one, but this one has a different app than what Microsoft offers and can actually force it to do 1080p 60. So those who are complaining about, hey, the Fire Stick's UI is not that great or the games don't play well or whatever, we have an app now that can literally, you can go in and say every game be 4K 60, and it will. Some games are locked at 30 because the games themselves are locked at 30. But you can basically force every game to come on your screen at 1080, at least 1080p resolution, among many other configs. So I go through that real quick and I show you the real easy process to install. I challenge all you to give it a try if you have a Fire Stick. Actually, any Android device you can do this with. You know, I challenge you to give it a shot and let me know in the comments. Let me know, find me on them DMs. But yes, I appreciate you letting me in on a Friday morning. My wife has recognized that CloudStrike has taken over all the PCs, so she's using this as a unique opportunity.
As she should, sir.
Get some time. So we gotta go.
Listen,
I appreciate
brother.
y'all.
Of course. Enjoy your weekend, brother. Hugs and kisses to the family, and we'll be talking soon. Enjoy us. I'll be in the chat. I'll be in the chat on Saturday morning. Ladies and gentlemen,
have a good Friday.
Yes, you too, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, look, we're going to give it the old college effort one more time. We're just waiting for Fuzzy to get in here. If he's not and he cannot, well, here he is. Speak of the devil. He showed up. Fuzzy, let's give it one more shot. How are you sounding, kind sir? Okay, so we don't hear anything at this point, which is not really good. But again, folks, you got to give him the room to breathe. He does not have power at home, and he's still here on his phone. So, Fuzzy, I don't know if you can hear us. We cannot hear you. But look, we appreciate you being here, brother. We're going to get on out of here. Obviously, I don't know if you're going to be able to do the horror podcast, which I'm supposed to be a part of this evening for about an hour. I believe that's going live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. His no power situation kind of puts the kibosh on that, and obviously the issue with the phone might be a little bit troubling to get that show. Of course, if we have to reschedule, we will in fact reschedule. But I think getting 3 topics in, considering we had a lot of people have to back out at the last minute, because obviously we normally have like 3 or 4 people for the panel. And we're thankful for Kay to get in here. It happens, folks. It's just one of those things. But look, let's get on out of here. I don't want to waste your time. Obviously, we want to produce the best show possible and have the guests that you want to hear. And technical difficulties aside, we had a great show. 3 topics. Obviously, the heading is about the first Descendants, which we're just not going to get to. But we did talk about the FTC shenanigans. We did talk about the no PlayStation 5 Pro, and of course we did talk about Halo potentially going to someone like an Amazon. Hey, Fuzzy, we got a second Fuzzy here. Oh no, a twin. Can we hear you, sir? Yeah. Unfortunately, brother, it's just not working out.
Hear me, although
Don't even,
I think my phone is bouncing between 5G and 4G LTE, and it's like wigging out right now. So I hope some of the stuff is coming through clear.
no, it's breaking up
It
just
doesn't
as
seem like
bad.
it
Now,
is.
listen, don't even worry about it, brother. We're gonna get on out of here. I was telling everyone about your horror podcast tonight. I don't know if that's gonna need it to be rescheduled due to the situation. I'm gonna give you a call afterwards. We'll talk in real life. But ladies and gentlemen, look, again, I want to wish everyone an amazing weekend. Enjoy gaming on everything that you enjoy gaming on. I want to thank all the super chats and the channel
Do
memberships.
apologize.
No, there's no need to it, brother. Stop it. Listen, listen, you have no power in your home, brother. I mean, the fact that you're still here is a miracle. So don't even sweat that. But look, a big thank you once again to the super chats that have come in. A big thank you to all of the channel memberships that continue to support the channel behind the scenes. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And you know the saying, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.